So I'm going to start the meeting, the public meeting, at 6:02, and I'd like to first, Diane, can you tell us who's on?
Yep. We have Chris McCarthy, Pete Gagnon, Chief Jewett, Chief Alcadino, Tina O'Rourke, Terry Caswell, Jeff Kozak, and the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
And Nancy.
So,
Nancy. Well, I kind of put you in there with the board. Sorry.
So I'm going to make a motion as the board just came out of a non-public session under 91A3C, and I'd move to what's the word I'm looking for?
Seal.
Continue.
Seal. Thank you. I'd like to seal the minutes of that meeting until such time as the majority of the board feels that the circumstances no longer apply. Can I get a second on my motion?
I'll second it.
Second it.
So Charlie won that race, and we're going to go around the horn. Kate?
Aye.
Larry?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Charlie?
Aye.
And Matt's an aye, so you got 5 there. So without further ado, Trish, would you like to tell us what's been going on?
Sure.
Thank
so
you.
I have a meeting starting with Saturday. So the Attorney General's office released some guidance regarding election options during the state of emergency. So far, I don't think we have to worry about that, but we'll see what happens as we get closer to September and the primaries. They also, the attorney, they placed parking restrictions on Route 1A. Sorry, my tongue is getting in my way here. Route 1A, all the way from the Massachusetts border up through Seabrook, Hampton, Rye, all the way up, because they were so concerned about people congregating on the beaches and not doing the social distancing. There's also Education Stabilization Fund, which is going to provide the state with $82 million to help schools address issues around this COVID-19. There'll be more talk on that, I think, on today's call, but I'll get to that when I get to that. As of Saturday, we had 885 positive cases. That's 66 over Friday's cases. 234 have recovered. I mean, that's pretty good. We did have 22 deaths. That was 1 over Fridays, and 134 hospitalizations, and 9,608 negatives, and that's a good thing. That's 469 over Friday's negative. So tests is continuing to come in. And then we've got 93 tests still pending and 3,300 people still being monitored. They did say that they're coordinating with 234 communities and helping with planning regarding the homeless population. A lot of these calls are around homeless populations. They're tracking key data, and this comes from intelligence on the state level, and they're providing COVID-19 intelligence to police chiefs as things continue to get a little bit heated in areas of concern to the police departments. They did order 60 ventilators on Friday night, and as of this report, they were still waiting for them to come in, and a large distribution will be handled on Sunday when the plane lands. First responders, we had the update was 153 first responders were tested. 16 of them are positive. 94 are quarantined, and 4 are in alternative lodging. And out of the 4, 1 is a law enforcement personnel, and 3 are healthcare providers. They're working to provide security for food distribution and food banks. That is now becoming an issue. So they're going to do security around our food banks and food pantries. Running into circumstances where people, and you might have even seen this on the news, where people are using products that are not listed for approved disinfecting. So they're reminding everybody to make sure that we're all using the right kind, and if we happen to be out around the public or even in our town halls or wherever we might be working, that it's the proper disinfecting material to be used. They finished with a video this week, and it's geared towards law enforcement and how police can continue their jobs while wearing PPEs. This was a combined effort with local police, state police, and the Joint Information Task Force. So probably Chief Jewett's going to give us a demonstration while he's wearing his gown, how he's going to handcuff somebody. We'll have to pick a good candidate on that one. Hoping that this will be released by the end of the week, this new video for the police departments, as it gets passed through JIC and approved. So that was Saturday. On Sunday, they're working on alternative care sites because of flooding. Some areas, this is so sad, some of the alternative care sites are in areas that are now, as of today, they're worried about their banks flooding over. So that was an issue. Persons with COVID today is this was Sunday, 929, 44 more than Saturday. 236 persons recovered. That's 2 more recovered from the day before. And deaths were the same at 23. They talked about supporting New Hampshire vendors who are offering goods and services and exploring manufacturer solutions for items in need, such as swabs and gowns. We still, as much as you hear them say everybody's all set, as Chief Jewett and Chief Alcadino and I and Larry were talking today, we don't have enough, depending on how many calls our departments get. So we're still putting out orders for those things. We have on Sunday 16 positives as far as first responders. 87 are in quarantine. They again remind us continue giving PPE requests through our ELC site. Although we're trying to order off-site to try to get them from other distributors, we'll take what we can get. But they're reminding us to let them know our shortages and our burn rate, how quickly we're going through things. And they're also working on developing security plans for when the plane landed yesterday for the distribution, making sure that everything gets to where it's supposed to go. That was Sunday. Sunday night, they just reminded us that the plane that arrived on Sunday, we had 91,000 pounds of personal protection equipment that was delivered, and it included 6.6 million masks, 50,000 face shields, and 24,000 Tyvek coveralls. They also reminded us that the PPEs were purchased by the state and will be given out at no cost to the areas of greatest concern. So that's kind of an important little tidbit. And then Monday morning, the early call was 585 persons with COVID. That's 56 more than Sunday. 239 recovered. So that's 3 more recovered than Sunday. And the deaths remain the same at 23. They reminded us that the PPE cargo was all transported to the warehouse on Sunday. They talked about the social media trends and positive feedback. Lots of talk about the plane landing yesterday and how exciting it was that the PPEs, arrived here in New Hampshire. Local businesses were talking about closures or trying to prevent closures. And there was questions about when the state's going to reopen. And again, that'll get talked about later on. They also talked about schools and the discussion about problems with unemployment and the website. So all that still remains issues, I think, probably in every state, not just ours. First responders on Monday morning, this morning, we had 16 positives and 85 are in quarantine. And they're reaching out to their alternative care sites about the heavy winds, and they're nervous as to what was going to happen today. But I think, at least when we left today, there were no issues with all those alternative care sites. Again, saying preparing for the rain and the storms, the crews were ready. And they reminded us to frequently hand wash, and the mask wearing, although it's voluntary, wear them as much as you can. And that was this morning. Now, noontime today was a good call. The governor was on the call. I'm going to read a little bit of what I tried to type verbatim. They just said thank you for responding to all their surveys. They're making changes based on the responses that everybody sent, which includes the burn rate, which the burn rate is how quickly our police and fire and EMS are using our personal protective equipment. And you figure every call they're using them. So we'd have to submit those surveys on a regular basis. They talked about that the PPEs arrived and that they're getting them all out to us. We didn't get any today, but I think Larry's, hot on the track about that, along with both chiefs. And we had 985 persons with COVID today, 239 for recovered, and we're at the same with the 23 deaths. When Governor Sununu was talking, he, of course, thanked everyone on the front lines. Thank you, police and fire, and all the first responders. He said it's only been a month since we entered into the state of emergency, and it feels like longer. He also said we've hit a plateau. The numbers seem to be stabilizing, and our hospital numbers are down. He said we are prepared for a spike should it happen, and we shouldn't let our guard down. Keep doing what we're doing. Our flex sites are ready just in case we have to go to alternative sites. He talked about when places are going to start to open. Somebody asked him that, and he said not likely in the coming weeks, but it will happen in the next couple of months. He also talked about the schools in the next couple of weeks, and some models are actually being looked at as to when and how this could possibly happen. He reminded us that Boston is still flaring up. They kind of let their guard down a little bit, so we have to be careful, and reminded us that because we're regional, we have to manage what we're doing throughout New England. He again reminded us that the PPEs were delivered, and thank you. Again, it was 6.6 million masks, and hopefully that's going to be helpful. We're going after more shipments. He said, keeping our priorities straight, we've got to keep ordering. None of the hospitals, though, are out of PPEs. He said to make sure that the entire state is covered, and to keep our orders fixed. He said, new federal guidance is saying we can wear cloth gowns now, not just the disposable ones, and said that surgical masks can be used for more than one day. Again, this is an issue because everybody's so busy, and if we get rid of them after every call, we're just going through them more quickly than we can stock them. He said the economic relief is coming as long as the federal government can get the stimulus approved and sent out to the state. Money will be phased out over time, and that's what we need to try to maintain flexibility. He said our needs are going to change constantly. Every day is fluid. He even said 10 minutes from now is going to be different from what he said 10 minutes ago. Then the Weather Bureau came on, obviously talking about today's weather, gusty winds, as we all know, and they're still going on. He said that expect the gusting winds from till at least 7 o'clock tonight before the cold front moves in with thunderstorms. He said the weather station said winds should be ending around 9 p.m., that we've got flood threats from late afternoon through the evening. He said White Mountains could see up to 2 inches of rainfall, and the lower part of New Hampshire will see 1 inch or so, although we've got no major rivers expected to reach flood stage. And outlook for the remainder of the week, it's going to get cool, it's going to generally be quiet, and some rain in spots. The fire marshal came on and talked about that we got guidance on unprotected exposure, and it was released in documents on Saturday. That's available on our EOC, and it was also sent out in the listserv, so I'm sure both chiefs have it. If not, you guys let me know, and I'll make sure you get it. It covered the newest guidelines as well as the answers to questions that have been coming in weekly. There was also an emergency order that came out from a medical examiner and guidelines. Sad that we have to talk about that, but it talks about how to deal with bodies and possible contamination. We continue to have people quarantined, 85 first responders, 16 positive tests for first responders. The governor talked about the governor's office for emergency release, and the use of stimulus money that's completely separate from the FEMA money. FEMA money will get us paid back for what we've purchased. So those purchases that we've been submitting to our bookkeeper, they're looking at 75% reimbursement. However, they hope to get 100%. And I'll probably throw a caveat in there. That's not necessarily talking about payroll. This is purchases that we've made because of COVID. Also talked about if someone is homeless and needs quarantine, we've got a phone number here. And Tina, if you're on the call and you need that phone number, the name is Tori, and I'll give it to you afterwards if you need it. I'll send you a text. And quarantine for homeless, all the costs are completely recoverable. They're also working on a mass fatality plan, and as it grows and gets to fruition, they're going to share that with us. Then we had some questions. We wanted to know if the Seabrook drill in May is going to be canceled, and the answer is yes. So all of you that usually participate, even though we don't seem to have it in writing, it is going to be canceled. There was also a question about town halls being opened, and they surveyed town halls and said that, unfortunately, it's different everywhere. Some of the bigger city halls and town halls are closed. Some of the smaller ones are open. Some are doing limited, I guess kind of like we or Mary Jo is, limited to appointments. Public's not allowed in, but staff, as long as they can practice social distancing, that's what's happening. Still talking about campgrounds, another question, do we have the guidelines yet? The answer is no. It's still pending a question with the governor's office. And they keep saying they're going to have an update by the end of the day, but we've heard that a few times. I'm sure he's overwhelmed. But as soon as we can share that, we'll get it out to the appropriate people. There was talk about some of the rivers overflowing. Doesn't pertain to us, so I'm going to skip over that. I'll also talk about this one town said multiple requests have been sent in for personal protective equipment, and yet no requests are showing up on the EOC board, and they're wondering what's going on. Are their orders even being seen? And they said yes, their order was received, and there might be a glitch in that system. More talk about short-term rentals. A lot of out-of-state plates in driveways, and it's causing problems the longer COVID continues. There's talk about people bringing in COVID into their small little communities just to get away from the cities they live in. And because of that, they're going to look into enforcement piece for short-term rentals. So I'm sure we'll hear more about that. There was also talk about restaurants, keeping them safe, and how big box stores and grocery stores aren't taking safety measures, and they're going to be reminded to do proper discipline. And what they're going to do is reach out to the Grocers Association and have that conversation with all the different locations that perhaps aren't practicing with the proper pieces of safety equipment. And that's it.
Good job.
All right. Thank you, Trish. And, a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, but just a little glimpse of it. All right. Any questions on what Trish just ran through from anybody? Okay. What I did want to do...
Excuse me, Matt. I have one question. Trish,
go ahead.
You talked about sanitizer, proper sanitizing, or whatever that is. Could you? What are you referring to? I don't think we have anything down the transfer station. That's what I'm saying to clean up anything if there's some other sanitizer we should be using. Station. We do, Pete. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And
we do
it's
now.
the proper disinfection. I know Larry ordered, I think, a gallon jug for every building, and I know Chief Algodino and Larry, we keep ordering sanitation stuff. It's coming through in gallon sizes, so we have to get spray bottles, but it is coming through. We can't get wipes at all.
Jack, you talking about hand sanitizer or countertop sanitizer?
No, countertop sanitizers.
Okay, so I dropped
spray
off.
Stuff.
I did the hand sanitizer Saturday when you asked for it. I think let me look tomorrow and see what we have for countertop cleaner.
We have the hand sanitizer. Yes. Yeah.
I'll look tomorrow and see about the other sanitizer.
Okay. I wasn't aware of it, Pete. That's all. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So one thing I would like to do on this call is it's COVID related in that it's reaction to the fact a lot of places are closed down and we've been, kind of out of sorts in terms of this. But in one of our, I think it was last Tuesday's public meeting for the Board of Selectmen, we voted on as described in the warrant article that was approved, on the new fire truck. And I know that the fire chief was contacted by another vendor, which came in with a different quote. And our belief is, well, not our belief, but we know this quote is lower. And so I'm wondering if the board wants to kind of take a look at maybe pulling back that motion from last week, since nothing's been signed.
Matt, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Chief.
It's not another vendor. It's the original vendor that was given the original trade-in, which was Greenwood Fire Apparatus.
Right, but it's a different one from the motion last week, right?
Yes.
Correct. I apologize.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So I believe, Lisa, you made the motion. Does that sound familiar?
It does. So I can amend the motion or I can rescind the motion.
Yep, rescind.
So I will move to rescind the motion to authorize purchase of the specific fire truck
from Pierce. I'll second it.
Charlie's seconding that, so let's go around the horn. Kate, how do you vote on this?
Aye.
Larry?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
And Charlie?
Aye.
Okay, aye. So, Diane, you have 5 ayes to rescind that motion. So now I'd like to entertain if anybody wants to make a new motion.
Can I make another motion? I would like to move that the board authorize the chief to purchase the fire truck that best suits the department's needs, not to exceed the warrant amount of $649,000 and the terms within.
Second on that?
Second.
Kate's the second. Any discussion?
Yep. This truck,
all right.
The E1, Matt?
Yeah, the Greenwood?
Yep. The one we're,
now,
wait a minute. The one that we're working on now, they're giving us an even better deal than we were getting before.
This is why my motion does not identify a particular truck or a particular price. But what it does do is it allows the chief to continue working with the different vendors, finds the truck that not only meets or the best price, but also the best needs of the department. And as long as it's under the warrant amount and the terms, then he can move forward with it without having to come back to us again because something's slightly different with the term.
Can I
say something?
Yep.
Nancy, go ahead.
Matt, I just feel that we need to have a name that goes with it because they keep sending applications for credit and, down payments, leases, whatever. We have to have a name because otherwise we're just going to keep filling out paperwork and that's not valid because we don't know who we're going with.
Mr. Chair, if I may?
So before you come in here, Chief, Lisa, I totally understand what you're saying with that motion, but I think where I'm going to have to sign something as the chair, I think we probably do need to identify the specific one. But Chief Alcadino, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, if the board's going to decide to go with the vendor that came back to the table, on the last page, the board has a copy of the contract. everything's public record for the amount of what the cost of the truck. And I agree with Nancy. The board would have to vote on the manufacturer and on the dealer, because that's what you would be signing on the last page. It has the name of the dealer, and on the back page, to answer Nancy's question, has everything for the federal tax exemption certification, all the paperwork the board has that needs signatures on.
Matt? Right, and we typically have another motion when we get the contract to have the chair sign the contract. And at that point, we have the contract and the manufacturer in the actual terms. I'm just thinking we had one price in terms, then another price in terms, then another price. This is our third set. We can't keep going back and forth and rescinding our motions.
Well, what ended up happening was the board last week, when they made the motion diligently, that individual actually came to the table twice. The main individual that you have in front of you, this is his second bite of the apple, as it was put to me. We're not going to go back and forth to other vendors. This is it.
That's gonna be it.
You have the contract in front of you that if the board chooses to go with this manufacturer, I would recommend the board just make a motion to go with this vendor, well, this manufacturer, this dealer, and authorize the chairman of the board to sign the last page where it says Newton Fire Department, the buyer's name, and on the back page, whoever signs for the federal tax exempt certification and all the paperwork that they're requesting. You have all the paperwork, all the contracts. The board votes on this tonight. Everything that was sent by the other vendor and all the paperwork and requests becomes null and void. You have everything hard copy in hand to take care of the new truck tonight.
Larry, you were trying to get in there. Larry?
Yeah,
hold on.
Trying.
Larry,
Chief,
go ahead.
So, Chief, the final word is we're going to go with the engine one at that lower cost, correct?
Correct.
E1?
Correct.
That all right, so I make a motion that we have...
So, Larry,
hang on.
Hold on. Time out.
You can't make a motion until
Time
we're
out,
done
please.
with this one.
Time out. This is the chair now. So there's a motion on the floor from Lisa. We have to vote on the motion because it's on the floor. It's been seconded. So we're going to go
But
around
I can
really
rescind
quick
the
here.
motion before we go forward.
Exactly.
What was
okay,
her
so
motion
she
again?
just rescinded. So she rescinded the motion. The motion was kind of an ambiguous motion. It's been rescinded. So Larry, go ahead. What's your motion?
All right. So her motion's done.
Yep.
All right. So So he has. This is the final paperwork. They have the final truck they want. So we just need to vote on it tonight. It's going to the E1 company, and then there's a done deal.
Yep.
No more fire truck.
Yep.
So the motion would be to have the chairman sign the E1 contract for the new fire truck at a cost of, which I don't have the final number.
$629,000.
$629,000, which I believe came with an extra year extended warranty. And
That's free.
Yeah, free, right. And no escape clause, correct?
Right.
Not needed.
Okay, so
is there
Not
a
needed.
second on that?
I'll second it.
Charlie's seconding. Any discussion? Please no. All right. That worked. Wow. Okay. So we're going to go around. So Larry, you're a...
Oh, big guy.
Big guy. Charlie?
Aye.
Okay. Kate?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Okay, and Matt's an aye, so we have 5 ayes, so that motion carries. And Chief, you and I will talk later about how I sign. So,
thank you.
But thank you. So, Nancy, you're all set with what you need out of that?
I think so. I was just looking at it. We can talk if something else comes up.
Offline, we'll talk. All right. Thank you on that one. So, agenda-wise, anything else that people might have?
You just have the minutes from April 7th and April 8th.
Anybody?
Matt?
Mr. Chair, just...
Hello? Can I make
a
comment, Matt? Hello,
sure, Jack, go ahead.
Yeah, I talked to Tom today about our next CBA meeting. We plan on holding a meeting in May. I think him or our secretary has contacted Diane or Trish, because Tom mentioned both their names, and some help and however we're going to handle the meeting. I'm not going to sure if it's like this venue right here or some other means, because we want to be able to send it out to all the abutters, especially on the Coleman issue. Then we have a second hearing that we want to do. So I just want to give you an update. We are trying to get the meeting going for May.
Okay, good. Awesome. So I think Larry was trying to make a motion on the minutes.
Yeah, but I asked if they were public and non-public for April 2nd.
So on April 7th, it was non-public and public. April 8th was just public.
All right, so I make a motion to accept the minutes, public and non-public, for the meeting on April 7th. As
second.
Written.
Charlie was a second. We're going to go roll call vote. So, Kate, how do you vote?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Larry?
Aye.
And Charlie?
Aye.
And Matt's and I. So you get 5 there. Larry, did you want to do the next set?
Yeah, make a motion to accept the public meetings dated April 8th, 2020, as written.
Second.
Seconded by Charlie. Let's do a roll call vote. Kate?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Charlie?
Aye.
Larry?
Aye.
Matt's an aye, so that's 5. That's unanimous. All right. Anything else?
Mr. Chair, I just have one quick thing.
Yep.
Just wanted to thank the board on behalf. The members wanted to thank the board on behalf of their gracious D&D cards.
Awesome.
Great.
It's the least we could do. Yeah. And we appreciate them being out there.
Yep.
Yes, we do. Thank you.
And I'm sure the town would, if the town could speak in one voice, they'd be saying that right now. So.
Yeah.
All right. So, does anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So Charlie's adjourning. Second on that?
Second.
Seconded by Lisa. Roll call. Kate?
Aye.
Larry?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Charlie?
Aye.
And Matt's and I appreciate your time, everybody. We have another one of these on Wednesday night. And Diane, before I forget, we did want to add to the agenda, so it'll be COVID response to payroll for displaced workers will be on that agenda.
Is that public or non-public?
Public.
Okay.
All right. We'll see we won't see you. We'll talk to you on the phone Wednesday.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.